What's up, everybody? It is I, Mario, aka the Blu-ray Bodhisattva, aka the Sausage Gentleman. Just want to make a quick video, as quick as I can possibly make, and who knows how quick I can actually do it. Let's see. Place your bets now. Can I do this in 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 8 minutes, or is it going to be an hour and a half long? Let's see. So, I haven't been making too many astrological updates. But before I pull up the charts, um, there's a lot going on within the transits. And recently there's been a lot more, well, at least I have been seeing and been experiencing a lot more uh, cross-talk communications with people who practice other forms of astrology, such as sidereal astrology, or I guess now it's being called true sky astrology, and that sort of thing. And I just want to say I'm not against these things. Like I'm not against sidereal astrology or true sky astrology or the 13 sign astrology, and the science, or the spirituality and the foundation of how um, that is practiced or understood. I personally haven't dove uh, deep into 13 sign astrology or sidereal or tropical, I mean, or true sky astrology. I have focused at a very young age, at 17 years old, way back in 20 or 2007. I that's when I began studying astrology, and I know, with no teachers, no mentor, no guiding influence, just me picking up books and reading one book after the other, and applying what I'm learning through books through actually practicing it. And just over the years, we're talking from 2007 all the way to present, over, once you're really in the study of something like astrology, and you've integrated a lot of the knowledge and the wisdom, and then start to actively practice seeing it in your life, in the universe, and in the transits, you hit certain levels of a higher understanding that starts coming from a wisdom and a connection of things. And this applies to any field, any craft of any sorts, whether it's tarot, divination, acupuncture, all sorts of things. And so me being on my own, learning and studying astrology very privately, very, very privately, I became an astrologer back when I would go to a party or hang out with friends and ask people what their signs were, and everybody would say I'm gay. They'd be like, "Dude, you're gay, bro. You're fucking gay, dude. Astrology's for women, bro. Astrology's for women who are home bored while their husbands are working and they need some shit to gossip about, bro. Stop fucking, diving into this female shit." And I'm like, you guys have no idea about anything, whatever. I just won't talk to you about it. So, I've been into astrology for a very long time, even before it really became, even before social media became a major platform for astrology and other practices to reach more, a larger audience, before YouTube astrologers, before memes, social media memes and all that stuff. So, um, I will admit, because I have been on my own journey alone as an individual, just following my own guidance, my own path, that I have some biases towards other forms of astrological practices, and I am aware of that, and so I don't want to, and because I have that awareness, I don't want to become opinionated and stubborn and closed-minded. So rather, I'm just like, I just don't know too much about these things yet. And one of the reasons why I haven't really dove into studying and researching about it, it's a number of different reasons, and I won't go into all of them, but I will say that the how many minutes are we in? We're gonna be going way longer than 15 minutes here. But anyways, I will say that um one of the major reasons why I've been turned off by 13 sign astrology and true sky astrology, whatever the hell you want to call it, is because of the attitudes from people practicing that world of astrology. I have been met by, the people that I cross paths with have always been very smug, have always been very righteous, and have always tried to tell me that what I know, what I've practiced, what I've put in nearly 2 decades of hours of 2 decades of time cultivating. I didn't just learn and study it. I cultivated on a spiritual level a connection in understanding this particular system. And so to be told by people who I know have not put in the same amount of time and passion into it as I have, to come at me and tell me that what I know, everything that I'm doing is wrong and false, that is where that is where you see me respond and react with resistance. So I'm not resisting 13 sign astrology. I'm not resisting other forms of astrology. What I'm resisting is the attitude of people who are not aware of what their biases could be and how they are going onto the firm, opinionated, fixated, one-sided view. And the thing about, you know, spirituality and the community in this type of community, because I've been through this, I've been through these types of um mindscape programming that becomes inflamed by the ego qualities of human nature. And what I'm saying is, when we step into a spiritual path and we start coming into some information that feels like it gives us an elevated edge above NPCs or other folks that are just not spiritual, right? Like, you're starting to learn about higher wisdom, higher knowledge, spirituality, and divination. And something that happens is you become very righteous and then try to force your perspective, your will upon others, or you think you're just better than them because you got an extra edge of something. And this is a result of a lot of different much deeper insecurities within people. And so, for example, like let's say the kid who got bullied their whole life, doesn't matter if they're a boy or a girl. Let's say there's a kid who got bullied most of their life because maybe they were a little overweight or something or whatever, but something about them had other kids growing up sort of pick on them, and they dealt their whole life feeling powerless. They dealt with their whole life feeling outcasted in some sort of way until, let's say, they pick up a book on Wicca, and now they're like, oh, I'm Wiccan, I'm pagan, and they're learning things on rituals and things like that. And so then they initiate themselves, and then they think that they're like a high priestess, voodoo witch god, and they're going to practice their ceremonies at home. And so internally they have this protective shell, so they've created this facade, this projection, this protective shell to help them bypass the pain from that originated from that much earlier point of neglect and being bullied. So people aren't doing certain therapeutic psychological works within themselves to really understand like what they are doing. And I got into the spiritual path at a very young age, at 17 years old, when I was coming off a crystal meth addiction. So I went through a lot. I gone through a very early exposure of the lower qualities within everyone's human nature when trying to empower yourself or trying to go down a certain path, and working to expand your awareness, expand your connection to things, while also having a lot of baggage and gunk and sewage that needs to be filtered and processed and cleared in tangent with your journey in the spiritual path. So I see a lot of that going on within these types of things too. So within folks who are practicing other forms of astrology, it's like these from what I'm seeing, from what I'm experiencing, I know that there are real people out there that are just like me, who really respect their path and their craft and have been practicing sidereal 13 sign astrology for a really long time. But those folks, they're not coming in within my sphere of awareness. So I haven't crossed paths or haven't had to have real deep comprehensive dialogue to lead towards something with those types of folks. And I'm seeking to invite them because I really respect the craft of astrology as an astrologer, and things are changing into the future with Pluto going to Aquarius, Uranus going into Gemini, Neptune, Saturn both starting a new synodic cycle while entering into Aries at the same time. Like, things are shifting, things are growing, things are going to evolve. And I have deep respect for the craft in how I know it. And so I'm inviting other, I don't want to say masters, but I want to say other folks that have integrity and respect their craft, but are also not fucking assholes. Because what I've been dealing with is people who have very minimal understanding of the basics of astrology, but then they'll come across a meme or somebody's post that is trying to say, oh, the galactic true sky astrology, this is it. Tropical astrology is a program to enslave humanity, and all of this stuff. And I don't really resonate with that theory, with that perspective, quite just yet. I'm not saying that it's not true, it's not real, but I'm not seeing that. I don't see what certain claims are being made. So what I'm seeing is people who have very minimal actual knowledge and experience. They come across something, and then it inflames them to feel righteous, to then shut down everything else, blame everybody else. Just like when, just like how vegans try to tell people, that you're living a very shitty quality of life because you're not vegan too. And this is why I'm better, and all these other things because you're not vegan also. So we're dealing with these same things, these same twisted distortions. And it's okay, because it's seriously the way I see it, it just all sums down to the lesser egoic qualities within human nature, which means everyone does it. I do it. Everyone goes through these trips, but we have a process, right? We have a process for growth. And we're towards the end of this year right now, at the end of 2024 right now. The astrology, in the way that I see it and understand it, is having people reach this point to really expand and shift their whole worldview perspective in a big way. So with all that being said, my name is Mauro Mijares. I consider myself the Blu-ray Bodhisattva, and many know me as the salsa shaman for the salsa that I make. And I am an astrologer. I practice tropical astrology, and I also consider myself an intuitive evolutionary astrologer. I have very accurate results and many, many, many hours of readings and being of service to others. And from the folks that have benefited from working with me, have nothing but positive and supportive things to say, because from the development of my skills, I have been able to produce to them real accurate results that have supported them in their world and in their life. So this is me, this is who I am. And for anyone else who practice other forms of astrology, congratulations. We are kung fu masters practicing different forms of martial arts. If we want to create a dojo and practice and merge and duel, I am open to that in a very respectful manner, with the focus of respecting the craft of astrology and not putting down and bashing people. All right. So here we go. Oh, I gotta get rid of that. I gave a reading earlier today. Save. That was a really good reading, by the way. Okay, hold on a second. What just happened? Da 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 da. Okay, so this is the astrology for today, and I want to be just really quick about this and point some things out. This is today, right? Yeah, so this is today. Oh yeah, Mars is retrograde in Leo. So much fun. So oh, and Venus just entered Aquarius at 0 degrees and has crossed over Pluto already in Aquarius at 0 degrees. The moon is in Pisces, getting ready to cross over Saturn. Jupiter. So here's what I really want to point out here. So we have Jupiter retrograde in Gemini at 16 degrees, and the sun is in Sagittarius at 16 degrees. So right now, Jupiter and the sun are exactly opposite of each other. Over the last, I think it was yesterday or over the last few days, Mercury retrograde already directly opposed Jupiter in Gemini and formed an inferior conjunction to Mercury in Sag. The other thing that I want to point out is that Saturn in Pisces has been here at 13 degrees and is still within a loose 3-degree orb T-square to Jupiter in Gemini, the Sun in Sagittarius, and even Mercury in Sagittarius. So the mutable signs here: Gemini, Pisces, Sag. There's no Virgo, but Virgo is another mutable signs. The mutable signs have to do with perspective, experiences, magic, wisdom, and truth. And the mutable, so what makes a mutable sign mutable is their ability to shift and adapt. So anytime we are going into a mutable season, like we are right now, we are in Sagittarius season. That is the season of transition. So from it, we're coming to the end of fall, and by the end of Sag season, we are going to the beginning of winter. So every mutable sign is that last, 30 days ending one season, leading into the next season. So the mutable signs are about shifting in perspective, going through an experience that allows you to have that shift in awareness, to have that expansive shift in awareness. And each of the mutable signs have different qualities. They play different roles in our perspectives through a number of different ways. So Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter has been in Gemini since early May of this year. I forget, but May of this year. And Jupiter is at detriment in Gemini, which means Jupiter is at his weakest in Gemini. because the ruling, Jupiter rules the sign Sagittarius, and so now Jupiter is furthest away from his home sign. So Gemini represents the mind, thoughts, communication, networking, and the transfer of information. And Jupiter is the sign of expansion, overload, overwhelm, hyperbole, but with the added frequencies of optimism, good luck, and fortune. So no matter what, Jupiter is a benevolent, a positive energy that is optimistic and only wants good things to come about, and in a grandiose way. However, when Jupiter is in Gemini, he is at his weakest because Gemini is of a mental realm. So that the qualities of that Jupiterian energy becomes overwhelmed with an overload of information. And Gemini is a sign of duality, the twins, light and dark, the negative and the positive, the heaven and the earthly. Gemini is duality within the brain hemispheres, left brain hemisphere, right brain hemisphere, and the neurons and the nervous system network within the brain, within the body, is the transfer of that information that allows our senses to communicate with our brain to help us experience the projection of this holographic universe. And right now, this year, 2024, the whole world has been going through a mental overload, mental overwhelm of a lot of information. So many different things have been going on. There are a lot of spinning plates operating and are taking up space within the mental bandwidths of humanity. Let me just name a few. The war between Russia and Ukraine, the war between Hamas and Israel, the presidential elections, the all of the conspiracies, the pandemic, what we went through, your family stuff, paying taxes, crypto, your own health, a lot of different things going on, a lot of bits of information. And every single day, every fucking week of this year, there's one thing after the other. And we're still processing all of the shit that started in 2020. So with Jupiter being in Gemini, we are reaching this point where the collective mental capacity is extremely overloaded and overwhelmed with so much information that it has split our attention span and our focus to stay grounded on what the facts are, what the truth is, and it's difficult. But the good thing about this is it's helping accelerate and expose a lot of these things. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is by the rest of the world that are not hip to the same things as you are, because now they are being overwhelmed by a lot of the truth that's coming out. Like, for example, how much money Kamala actually spent during her campaign and where the money went, how much money has been spent here. All of these certain details and facts of information are being exposed, and what it's doing to the mental processes in having to integrate that and deal with collective cognitive disassociation, cognitive dissonance. So there's good things to that in the overload. Excuse me. So opposite this Jupiter and Gemini energy, we have the Sag energy that has been opposing it with a Mercury retrograde. And the ruling planet of Gemini is Mercury. And Sagittarius is opposite Gemini. So where Gemini is the mind, mental process of information, Sagittarius is now philosophical meaning and purpose as to what the information actually means. It's a much later stage of processing the information. So it's like so it's um like going back to that example of how I was saying, let's say someone who got bullied comes across, a Wiccan book, and that now they're on this journey of being pagan, right? And several years go by, and then they reach this catalyst point where they are now understanding the meaning and purpose of their entire life's journey, and they're able to see how the pain that they had to go through in their youth, and the processes of their confusion in their development on their spiritual path, and all and they're getting able to see this bigger picture, this bird's eye view. So with the Sagittarius energy, um opposing this just Jupiter and Gemini energy, it's creating excuse me, I'm gonna get some water real quick. So this Mercury retrograde, right? When Mercury goes retrograde, it shuts off the mind to be external and to become more internal, and reevaluating the past 3 months, the past year. So as Mercury retrograde, as we're in this Mercury retrograde and it just crossed the sun in reverse motion, right now is a period where people are having to go through much introspection and deal with their ego, their opinions, and what they are associating, um their like what they think is. And with Saturn in Pisces, and now even the moon is in Pisces, so Pisces is another mutable sign. And so where Sagittarius is that point of perception of now trying to understand the bigger picture and the meaning and purpose to all of the information, Pisces is then, what is it that you believe then? So it's like Sagittarius is like, okay, well, the meaning and purpose of life is to just procreate and make a lot of money. Pisces is that energy that's like, is that really what you believe though? Or is there something else? Is there a better, is there a better belief system we can create from your information, your experiences, and how you're perceiving that? So Pisces is that component of belief systems. What is it that you believe? What is embedded and operating through your subconscious? And the thing to understand about the subconscious is that it's unconscious, meaning you can't see it. It's operating unconscious. So, and the subconscious mind is over 80% of your mind, of your brain operating. So there is an 80% part of your entire personality that is operating unconsciously, that you are unaware of. Um, that is, you know, assisting in the projection of what you are experiencing in the world. So with Saturn and Pisces, Saturn is the planet of rules, structure, discipline, integrity, being competent, taking responsibility. Um, so with Saturn being in Pisces, we are in this long transit of people needing to mature and develop and take authority in what they are choosing to believe, how they are perceiving the world, and how their mind and their ego is narrating their experience through their perceptions that are going to reflect what is inherently embedded within that subconscious. So this is, there are so many layers to it, and it is far more profound than what I'm explaining. I've made posts, I've written articles about Saturn and Pisces in the past already. Like this is a huge deal. So what we're having a mutable T square going on right now with the moon in Pisces, which means and Mercury just went retrograde, crossed over the sun and opposed this Jupiter, which means that the effect, of these three planets communicating right now, it means that this is a frequency that has been generated with by Jupiter and Gemini, the Sun and Mercury and Sag, and Saturn and Pisces. This frequency has been generated to create ripples within your reality to allow you to have experiences that are meant to assist you in growth and shifting your perspective, shifting what it is you believe. And that's why I started this video with talking about other forms of astrology and 13 sign astrology, sidereal astrology, because for me, for the last how many years have I been doing this? Have I been practicing tropical astrology since 2007? Was that 16, 18 years? 17 years. So for the last 17 years, I have been one way within practicing astrology. And right now, as there is a lot of people that are entering this astrological knowing of things, there is things coming up that challenge, oppose, question my current perspectives, views, and beliefs and understanding of astrology. So now this is a time and a period for me to allow myself to be open and allow my and give myself permission to move through a process in shifting and growing my perspective within the astrology. Another example, separate from me, is what people are going through within America and the world. So the Democratic Party, right? There are a lot of lies, corruption being exposed within the Democratic Party, within mainstream media, within a lot of other groups and organization that have rigged things, that have lied, that have given misinformation. And so those folks, right, we'll call them these liberals or these, left wings or these woke people, right? They this kind of transit is perfect to open a container for them to start being overloaded by the truth of information that is exposing the lies within their perception of the current worldview paradigm, and hopefully allow them to dissipate their cognitive dissonance and embrace where we are going and accepting the truth by allowing themselves to have a humble shift in their perception and admitting, wow, I'm no longer going to watch The View. I'm no longer going to watch any mainstream media because it's all lies, it's all bullshit. I can't believe, you know, I sent, the Kamala campaign that much money and this is what they did with it. I can't believe they lied, so this is the kind of thing we're going through. However, it's not necessarily going to be that easy, because where the mutable signs, want flow, adaptation, and shift and perceptions to, shift and adapt. Mars just went retrograde in Leo, and Mars has been in Leo for a few weeks now. And an opposite Leo is Aquarius, and we have Pluto in Aquarius, and we have Venus in Aquarius. So these are fixed signs. They are completely opposite of what mutable sign is, which mutable sign is you know, loosey goosey. I'm going to go with the flow and adapt and change and have an experience. The fixed signs are fixed. They're stubborn. They're not going to move. This is it. I'm not moving from this position right here. And Mars is in Leo, and Mars is one of those planets that have a connection to our ego, the masculine side of our ego personality. Mars is our passions, our sex drive, our ambitions, our desires, and Mars is also, you know, conflict, confrontation, aggression, assertiveness, that sort of warrior energy that I'm gonna shoot first, ask questions later. That's Mars, and Mars is in Leo, and Leo is a fire sign that is also associated with the masculine egoic quality. And I don't mean egoic in a negative way. These are yan signs. They're masculine. They're outward projecting. They deal with the outworld, external world. And Leo is the sign of the performer. I am the king. I am the queen. I am the performer. Look at me and the skills and qualities that I have developed. Yeah, I'm the shit. And you know what? No one else is going to tell me anything else about that because I'm a fucking Leo. So Mars is in Leo, which is going to really feed the ego within people. And which means that while all the information and the things that are happening in the world are revealing to them the truth, and that there's far more complexities going on, the ego is going to have a hard time going with that flow process. So it will be difficult. And opposite this Mars Leo energy is going to be Pluto, and right now Venus is here in Aquarius. And Aquarius is the collective, it's humanity, right? And Pluto is that sign, death, rebirth, transformation, revealing, destruction. And anytime we have any kind of transits that have to do with Mars and Pluto, we're dealing with the clash of ego and willpower. And it's always going to be way more intense when they're in fixed signs, because fixed signs are stubborn energies and they have a very strong committed willpower in what they are fixed on, what they feel they are certain about. So there's Pluto and Aquarius that's trying to revolutionize and expose collective toxic narratives and such, but the ego and the personality within people are going to have a hard time adjusting to that. And so with the container, that is the frequency container that is being generated with this mutable T square, is creating this like crazy vortex that is going to overwhelm the mind with a lot of information and challenge the belief systems and expose. Now, where another area where this gets complicated and messy. Wait a minute. Today is not the 7th, is it? Today's the 6th, god damn it. Hold on. What happened? Today's the 6th. LOL. Beep. So today the moon is still in Aquarius. All right. The moon will go into Pisces sometime tomorrow night, tonight when we're sleeping. No wonder why I was a little confused at first, because I was like, wait a minute. This doesn't, the pattern seems a little bit different, but it's not too far off. Anyways, what was I saying? Gosh, there's so much to talk about. There really is so much to talk about right now with the astrology. Um, so this is all I'll just leave it at that right now. The time is 1:11 over here. But before I end it, let me just think real quick if there's any other thing that I want to say here. Um, Mars is retrograding today, and Mars will be retrograde until like towards the end of February. And during his retrograde, he will be backtracking all the way to, I believe, 17 degrees of Cancer. And, in the coming days, now that Mars is retrograde, Mars will form another exact opposition to this Pluto in Aquarius. And after that exact opposition, that's when Mars re-enters Cancer and backtracks into Cancer. And the reason why, one of the reasons why this particular Mars retrograde transit is very important is because when Mars first entered Cancer months ago in September, Mars formed a T square to the South Node in Libra and the North Node in Aries. And then by the end of Mars being in Cancer, right before it entered Leo, Pluto was still retrograde. Uh, was he still retrograde? I can't remember if Pluto was still retrograde or went direct. But anyways, what I do know is that Pluto was still at 29 degrees Capricorn, and Mars opposed Pluto at 29 degrees Cancer, 29 degrees Capricorn. So this is a huge deal because Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008. And we are in 2024 going into 2025 right now. So humanity has been living and experiencing their lives and reality with Pluto being in Capricorn for the last, was it 16, 17, 18 years. Um, and so with Mars opposing Pluto at that 29-degree point right there, this year we have all been initiated into the final boss battle of clearing and working out deep, deep, deep residual spiritual karma. Huge karma. Like we are going through a final boss battle of seriously leaving and transmuting so much ancestral historical baggage, which is what we're seeing in the world right now with people in the world with humanity trying to awaken and expose the lies and the corruption of the ruling elite powers and and become a galactic civilization. So we have been lied to and living within this inverted, perverted Masonic matrix construct for hundreds, thousands of years. And us here right now, are dealing with all of this pressure that is containing all of the karma that has been passed down to us to be experienced in this time, space, here and now location. And we are entering the final boss battle to really clear these things up. And it's really important right now because Neptune, being at the third decan of Pisces, getting ready to go direct this weekend, this Saturday, Neptune's going to go direct. And later this year, Neptune is going to transition into Aries. Okay, this is huge. This is huge. All right. So when Mars first entered Cancer and made that intersecting T square to the north and south node, when a planet intersects the north and south nodes, it creates what we call a skip step. And a skip step What happens in a skip step transit? It generates an intense experience that forces and propels humanity and individuals to go through a rapid process of karmic, of hashing out a lot of karmic energy. And Mars is the initiator of that, and Mars initiated it in the sign Cancer. And what is Cancer? Cancer comes from the fourth house. I'll just stop sharing my screen. So Cancer comes from the fourth. Am I still recording? I better be still recording because I feel like I'm on fire. So Cancer comes from the fourth house. Fourth house in Cancer is related to the mother. It's ruled by the moon, our intuition, our empathy. It's connected to the mother. It's connected to the matriarch. It's connected to memories, whether they're memories of your childhood or memories embedded within your DNA through your ancestry, through your lineage, more specifically, the lineage and the ancestry that is inherited through the matriarchal line of your family, of your bloodline, passed down through the womb from one mother down to the next. So this is Cancer. Mars rules the blood, rules iron. Mars is in Cancer and opposed. I mean, it didn't oppose, squared the north and south node in Libra and Aries. South node Libra, the south node, past life, accumulated karma, past cycles. The north node, destiny, the future, the guiding force, the guiding archetypal energy to assist us in moving forward and transcending and elevating ourselves away from the karmic cyclical patterns of the past. So with the South Node in Libra, Libra is other people, is your relationships, how you connect with the world, how you connect with other people. Aries is self individual. Aries is selfishness. In Aries is I think about myself before I think about other people. With a South Node in Libra, this is dealing with the karma of repressing and suppressing your individuality, your authenticity, because of how it's going to have a reaction in the dynamic of your social world. So, some examples, let's say in a lot of past lives, you were gay, but you couldn't come out as gay because historically, in those past lives, if you were to come out as gay, maybe you'd be murdered, you'd be shunned. It was just unacceptable. So you had to suppress your true individuality, your truth, who you are, and you couldn't be yourself, and you had to suppress yourself due to the social norms and etiquettes of that time. So the remedy to that, to clear that cycle, the North Node in Aries, and Aries is individuality, authenticity, just straight rawness, just raw expression. Aries is unrefined, raw expression. And with the North Node being in Aries, you know, and so what this is generating when Mars entered Cancer and formed that T square, and Cancer being family, home, mother, ancestry, lineage, inheritance, memories, what that T square did is it opened up a vortex within everybody to allow these karmic energies and memories that you inherited through your lineage, through your line, through your bloodline, that goes all the way back from far history, where the oppression and where the story begins and gets passed down into your here and now. And so what we are having to do is do this work and clear this, which means for a lot of people, it's going to generate situations, complexities, issues, arguments within perhaps you and your family, you and your mother, you and other social dynamics that could be connected to your home life, your family life, and how you relate to people, and and the challenge of you needing to speak your truth and be who you are regardless of how it might affect or offend other people, so we can clear these things out. And so this is what Mars did when Mars first entered Cancer a few months ago, and formed that T square to the north and south node. And then, just about a month or a few weeks ago, at the very end of that Mars Cancer transit, when Mars reached that 29-degree point of Cancer, there was fucking Pluto at 29 degrees. Pluto at 20. We we have been living with Pluto and Capricorn since 2008, and it's taken all this time for Pluto to be right there at that last degree, at that very last degree. And then there's Cancer. One one last final time, did we have to experience a planet, a transiting planet, be opposed by fucking Capricorn, by Pluto and Capricorn one last time, and it was Pluto. So it was Pluto after he had to initiate a skip step karmic process with the North and South node. Okay. I hope this makes sense. I hope you guys can understand what I'm trying to convey to you guys and how big this is for humanity, for all of us, because we are all going through a collective deep spiritual cleanse, with Neptune being at the final degrees of Pisces and Saturn getting ready to start a new synodic cycle with Neptune as they both hold hands going into Aries together. Fucking new world paradigm starting now. We're ending and starting right now. This is huge. So, with Mars going retrograde now, Mars will exactly oppose Pluto again. For Mars is going to oppose Pluto 3 times. And only that first time was that opposition on the Cancer Pluto axis. The next 2 times are going to be on the Leo Aquarius axis, which I'm okay with, because it's a whole new flavor. It's a whole new flavor of ego and willpower having to go through a transformation. It's no longer happening within, family karma, inheritance, and legacy and traditional, sort of that, Capricorn, Cancer axis. No more of that. God, man, this shit's, oh, and Cancer and Capricorn, these are yin signs. These are feminine signs, so it's and now, the Pluto is going to be in the Yan sign, an air sign. So these things are going to happen in more external, like outward, different. It's a total different dynamic is what I'm saying. So Mars is going to go back into Cancer. Okay. And Mars will be in Cancer for several months, because the retrograde ends at the end of February. And once the retrograde ends, now Mars is going to have to very slowly pick up his speed, moving through Cancer again, all the way from 17 degrees to 29, entering 0 degrees Leo. And by the time Mars re-enters Leo, it's going to be spring. We're going to be like in April, probably even May. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, so this is the final boss battle showdown of dealing with the inherited bullshit karmic complexities of what is within your DNA vessel. So that way, when we move forward into this new world paradigm, you are uninhibited. You are uninhibited and unburdened by bullshit that shouldn't matter anymore, because we're entering a whole new world paradigm where things are going to be accelerating really, really fast, and we need to be on our fucking game to help steer the direction of humanity in this rapid evolutionary process. Because the children are being born right now in the next 20 years, like, we need to set it up good for them. You know what I mean? Anyways, all right, all right, I'm just gonna stop talking before I find more shit to talk about. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much for all of your support, your continuous support. I really love all of you guys. I love being here for you. I love the connection and the relations that I formed with all of you guys. Please like, share, subscribe, book a reading. My website, starseedsalsa.com. You can reach me via email, starseedsalsa@gmail, or friend request me on Facebook or on Instagram to book a reading. If you have conflicts with my availability on my website, just shoot me a message. We can work something out. With that being said, love and light, death and darkness, we are full spectrum experiencing everything that this world, this life has to offer. No fear, no doubts. Peace, everybody.